ladies and gentlemen, we are here on Since the Final SZN, and I want to welcome an artist by the name of Will Cherry. He's in the building. How are you doing?
Well, first off, that was fire how you did that. And, I'm feeling awesome. I'm so happy to be here, man.
Thank you for being here. Now, I don't know. I gotta give myself because, of course, I think that I play the hits, and I will say that till I die. No matter if I'm doing radio, if I'm turning up your party, I got the playlist for you. So I put that on the Instagram story, and I didn't hear the totality of the song. And so now that I hear it, it was very grand, like open the show, close the show kind of vibe. And it's just like, wow, that arrangement was great. So that was all that by Will Cherry. And yeah, so I just want to say, great song overall. So of course we want to get into the thing, and of course make sure we get these questions down, and hopefully this BSR audience, this Sense audience, this kid audience. But if you are listening on your www.com phone, tablet, websites, thank you. And we're going to talk about what's been going on with Will. So can you tell me a little bit about who Will Cherry is, when you got started, and I guess what's next for you, like, or I guess what you've been up to lately, as of late.
Got you. My name is Will Cherry. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Elyria, Ohio, which is 25 minutes west of downtown Cleveland. I've been making music for over a decade. I produce and mix and write on my own music. And yeah, I just put out my new album. It's called Ultraviolet, October 13th. And so far we've been on MTV, Complex, Pitchfork. That was for the last album. Just been moving around and just doing everything in my power to get the music out there. It's really like personal, but it's fun. But it's so many different sounds and so many different vibes, so I just wanted to bring something that's like exciting to music.
Yes, and I guess that was one of my questions for you, because it does seem like more of an eclectic sound, more than I guess you veering into like one genre. Like, artists may have these moments where they are experimental with a certain album, or they'll have maybe a certain few tracks, but this is a very eclectic project that I'm hearing. So I wanted to know who are those artists who have inspired the sound that you have had?
Definitely Kanye West, who you played some of earlier. Travis Scott, which I feel like is like one of the most obvious influences.
Mm-hmm.
D'Angelo, Marvin Gaye, Thundercat, Jodeci. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like a lot of like R&B and soul mixed in with like modern drums, really.
Absolutely. So you said you've been for you said 10, 15 years, right? 10, 15?
Yeah, just about, yeah.
And so, I guess, what was that first, notion in your mind that you said, well, hey, I may have something here with this music thing, and continuing out for so long?
Probably within like the last 5 years. I had this project that I was working on for my last album. It's called Burgundy. The first iteration of it, I was just tinkering with different sounds. And I had this song called Death Proof that I made with another artist from Cleveland Heights, originally named Matthias Young. And Tate Miles, who's from Cleveland Heights too. And that song, it wasn't all the way finished yet, but ended up reaching the hands of a guy named Marvel, who ended up becoming my manager. And it just blew him away, and everybody that heard it, it just touched them in a certain way. And I was just like, okay, I really feel like this song has potential, my career has potential. And that was the first single for the first album. And that was really like what put me on the course.
Okay.
Yeah.
And around Cleveland, because of course Cleveland does have I would say a sort of grand music scene, or at least before COVID, it was a lot going on. And then, of course, the Ohio Entertainment Awards are tomorrow. What shows and things have you been out at? Who have you worked with?
Yeah, on the new album, I have a song with Wes Will, who's
Mm-hmm.
from Cleveland Heights too. He's like super, super dope. I feel like him and Tate Miles, they probably represent Cleveland like to the truest sound because of the
Mm-hmm.
inspiration from Bone Thugs. So them, Matthias Young, like I mentioned earlier. Bad Boy Banky, I produced for him as well. Esri, got a song with him. Really like, it's kind of hard to like find somebody in like a certain scene within Cleveland I haven't worked with, because before I was like putting out albums as an artist, I was producing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just sending beats out to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like Freshie, like Lorraine Chia, just everybody. I was sending out beats, and then with the first album, I had like a lot of features from Cleveland artists as well.
Absolutely, and I love that. I think that we do have like those prominent acts who are, I would say, not necessarily on the peak of success, but are slowly growing. And I would love to see us have a true POC, because I feel like we do have talent from Cleveland, but who is that POC that really is like, oh well, yeah, they're putting us on the map, you know?
Yeah.
We don't really have that, and so I would love to see that happen. So of course we'll see where you go, and you know, I wish you definitely the best. Now we want to play some music really quickly, so we have a few songs here, and I'm gonna save my favorite for last. But of course I want to get into your song. We'll probably do Brawl first.
Fire.
So if you want to go ahead and do that, you can go ahead and introduce your track.
This is a joint named Brawl. It's off my new album. I think it's like one of the most interesting songs because it has a couple different meanings to the word brawl. So when you listen to it, you'll feel different things, and I'm going to speak about different fights that we all struggle with.
Absolutely, and we'll make sense of it right after. So this is Brawl by Will Cherry. And we're back. All right, so we're going to continue to chat, and we're going to make sense of that song. So I noticed, and I think that is what I love about music the most, is really that layering of production. I really am big on, like, production because it's like, I always am like, if I can, because I'm a songwriter too, I'll say that. If I can write a song that you can perform, and there's the visual element, the dance, you know, the dancing, the visuals, and just what the band can play, the sounds that you can hear, and just the whole vibe that can go on. And that just really gave me like, wow, like you could do a lot with that. But then it's like, sometimes you have those songs like crept in within the album somewhere to kind of bring the energy back up. So I really, really like that. So, okay, tell us about Brawl.
So that song is like, one of my favorite filmmakers is Quentin Tarantino.
Mm-hmm.
And I peeped you had the Pulp Fiction poster of it.
We got a little something.
Yeah, that was fire. But one of the things he talks about is subtext. So it's like, in the song, like there's the things I'm going to say and the sounds I'm going to use, but there's the subtext of what's not going to be explained directly to the audience. So like, at the beginning of the song, it has soldiers' feet marching.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for a song called Brawl, the first thing you hear is war.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's that I'm talking about, like having these internal wars with yourself, with your mental health in the last verse. I'm talking about like the different things that we fight over as far as like money, material things within the song. I'm talking about like social fights, what I'm saying, like I've been ducking and dodging the precinct, you know, I'm not shucking and jiving to please them. It's like talking about like these fights we have as black people,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like you're trying to toe the line of, you know, fitting within the society, but feeling like you're not selling out.
Yeah, and see, that's, and I figure, you know, in some way, of course, you cannot diminish the black experience, even if you are, how can I say, even for myself, like rich or poor, or just black is black. Let me just say that, like black is black all the way around, and so you are automatically black before you are anything else. And one thing that we have a part of this culture is that we can all relate to some sort of oppression. And so when I consider Kanye, and I consider maybe even Nicki Minaj, or, you know, you could become too rich to be seen as black. You become too successful, you do some things that black people don't do, or you're condemned to saying like, black people can't do pop music, black people can only do R&B, they can only do hip hop. I guess, what is your experience with that? Have you questioned, you know, staying within these lines of genres, and if not, why not?
Well, for me, music is all like expression, so it has to be just like what's true to yourself, what you feel, what you're inspired by. So like with my album, like it's so many different genres. Like it's like bossa nova, gospel, house, R&B, rap, boom bap, trap, melodic rap. It's all these different sounds because it's just pure expression. So I feel like it's limiting in general if you just approach it like, okay, this is the genre that you have to fit in within. Or if the fans look at you like, you know, this is what we expect from you. It's like, you know, you're forcing the artist into a box. And then especially when it's like, because of this is what your race is making, this is what you got to be like, I feel like it's like, you know, archaic thought, basically.
That, but also, I guess, do you think about when you are ready to look, because I guess, I don't know what your end goal is, but you may see yourself one day you want to be mainstream appeal and things like that. And so sometimes that comes with kind of, putting yourself in this space to say, hey, I'm going to sway myself more towards one genre and then I may play with a few. Would you ever consider yourself doing that? I guess when it comes to, I guess, what your fans love or what they want to hear, or I guess those steps that you must take to really put yourselves on a map. Like, what do you feel like you need to do to get there?
Honestly, I feel like I just have to keep doing what I'm doing, because I feel like musically I have a lot of weird moments in my album. It's like a lot of stuff where I'm going down a rabbit hole, but it's also a lot of very palatable stuff. I feel like I'm a person that, like, I enjoy pop music. I enjoy, popular rap and popular R&B. So with me, it's not like I have to, struggle and sacrifice something to make something that's catchy. Like, I naturally want to do that because I just like earworms. That's what I came up listening to, like, the radio. That's why I'm so happy to be here today, because, like, I value the radio. So I love catchy stuff, and I think it can be dope. And that's why I love artists like, Kanye West, because he made something that was catchy, but it's going to hit you in a certain way. Like, no one man can have all that power. It's like, this song is like, it has
I work out to that faithfully.
It's fire. It's a classic. And it's catchy, and it sticks in your head, but it has a meaning to it. And
it was really big when it came out, too. Yeah. It was really big.
So that's what I'm into.
Absolutely. So then I guess also with that, because that's just what that sounds like, is you're staying true to yourself and you're not allowing, what is seen or heard today to be you. But then also I think that when we think about the matter of having success or feeling like we made it, and, I think now, even though, back in the day they did have like the VH1 show, I forget what it's called, like The Sweet Life of, and it used to detail like, oh, this celebrity went to this spa and they paid this much money, they bought this, they bought that. But now it's like hip-hop culture really has, spread to the masses. It is probably the most influencing culture in the world, and it's like now you have to show that lavish lifestyle. You have to show your expense. You don't really see artists now I guess they're always on point. You never see them. And I don't know if you can say you necessarily didn't see artists like that, but you're constantly exposed to perfection as an artist, and really, the look determines or can help determine your appeal. And so, I guess, how are you with, your presence as far as social media, with fans reaching out, with, because you said you do have a manager, you growing your team, I guess, what is your thoughts on, reaching success, or feeling like artists do always have to be on? There's always this image, and feeling like you also have to do that. Maybe you will do that, maybe you won't do that, but I mean, I see your social media, so it's very clean. So how are your fans getting to know you also?
Well, I just feel like, the perfection is I want the perfection to be within my music, within my videos, which I direct, within my presentation, which is social media and stuff like that. I feel like, it's all about just giving somebody the image of somebody that they want to be interested in, they want to support, and like let people know that, you're doing your thing, you're giving your all to it, this is important to you. So when you look at my page, like, you're seeing me talking about my music, because my music is important to me, and I'm showing you like what matters to me, so it can matter to you.
Absolutely.
As far as like the vanity and stuff like that, I don't really get caught up in it. I just try to like just give people what matters to me, and like I'm not really like a super vain person, or like I gotta look perfect, or I gotta have all the perfect stuff, or have all the newest stuff. It's not about that as much as it is just like clean, like you said, just being me,
Well, and I guess that's also to go with like your visibility, because you want to say, as well as I'm on social media, and I say this to all artists who listen, or people who may know people who want to perform, or they want to go far, is that really what allows you to go to that next step, is that, people are seeing you do things like this. Somebody is saying, well, hey, this music is good, you are talented, let me bring you into the studio, or let me put you on a show. And so showing off these moments are the most important moments as well, because you want to make sure people are listening, people who don't know you, people who do know you, and, we're pulling in audiences here. So if this is your first time listening, thank you so much. If you are listening because you always listen, thank you, and hopefully you are getting, hip to a new artist, and great music. I will say that, great music. So we want to go into this other song, because I'm going to play the song I like last, which we've already discussed those songs. So we're going to play this song called Ice. So if you want to introduce that, we'll get into that.
This is a song called Ice. It's featuring Sango, one of the dopest producers ever if you're into like Selection, K Tronada, those types of vibes. So fire song.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Will Cherry. That is Ice off of his new album, Ultraviolet. And I think I'm a little low, but yeah, we're back. Now, I don't think we got to talk about the album yet, but of course you got this new album out called Ultraviolet. And can you tell us a little bit about where the name came from and I guess the story that you could be expressing throughout this project?
Yeah, so the title Ultraviolet, it's a continuation of my last album. It was Burgundy, and that had like a different concept, which represented like dried blood. So the album was about grief, basically, after things have settled. So it's not red anymore, the blood has become burgundy because it's dried up. And this album, Ultraviolet, the reference is to like ultraviolet rays. So it's basically about the unseen, but the powerful but unseen. So the album is talking about me going through this journey of having like more success with my career and stuff like that, but also having a relationship that's sort of falling apart at the same time. So it shows me like falling in love.
That.
Yeah, it's a thing that like a lot of people go through. It's like, you know, you fall in love and you have this great thing going, but you have to dedicate so much time to the music. And as you travel and as you have all these things going on, like, you know, you got to sacrifice something.
Yeah, or you would hope that that person would just ride for you, because when the success come, a lot of things come with the success, and I'd rather be, I don't know, successful in love than trying to be broke and working through being happy, I guess. I feel like go through it with me these tough times, because we'll get to those better days, but it's often, you know, easier said than done. Now, of course, this song Ice just played, and there's many different sounds in there, so what were you going for, and then what inspired it? Like, I've heard a couple of artists who have done like that too. Considerably longer tracks, where they're doing Tinashe has done it, Dawn Richard, where they're doing two different sounds in one track, or even, you know, Drake and 21 Savage just did the In Millions, and they had Travis Scott, you know, he has a special sound, and, you know, the beat switched up. So what inspired that?
That's just like sort of the DNA of my music, I feel like. Probably like one of the albums that has the biggest influence on me is The Life of Pablo. And that album is basically filled with what I've been doing for like my whole career, which is like having these super unique sounds that morph into something else by the time the song is ended. So that's like just the DNA of who I am as an artist.
Yeah, it is a big Kanye West, even back to Watch the Throne days, so.
Yeah, so that's definitely a big part.
Iconic. All right, so what was it about, though? I don't think we got there. So tell us a little bit about what Ice meant, or what it means. Make sense of that for us.
Ice is just like, it's just a metaphor for being like just the coldest person possible. Like, you're the coldest person, like what you got on is the coldest, like what you're wearing, who you're with is the coldest person you can be with, like, and your skill is you're the coldest at your skill.
Absolutely.
That's really like what it's absolutely about, and it's like, I feel like everybody can relate to it as long as you have that confidence in what you do and who you are and what you stand for.
Yes. See, I like that. And then that brings me to my next question of consistency. So what has kept you cold as ice, I guess, to where you see yourself taking yourself to these higher heights?
Faith. And that's like, it ties back to the ultraviolet, like, you don't see it, but you know that eventually you're going to reach this finish line, this destination.
Absolutely.
And that's what ultraviolet is about, is that faith, that unseen thing that's powering you. So I have like, I just believe I'm going to be like one of the most impactful artists to ever reach music. So I feel like, why would I stop if I know I can do it?
Absolutely. See, I love that energy. And that's really anywhere, and that's so universal, and that's why we make sense of the music and we make sense of the art, because it's to say that it transcends to multiple careers, multiple goals that you may have. Just, I guess you can consider it a virtue to have faith and to want to continue to pursue the greatest good you can and to continue to move yourself forward. I think that's one of the most important things that we try to remind ourselves of at Sense, is that even with all the oppression, the drama, and the hardships that we do face, is that at the end of the day, we have to turn a good cheek and we have to push through. We have to push through because there will be greater days. Now, outside of your music, is there anything else that you're doing and getting into? Do you mainly produce or what is your life like? What is that experience for you? This is your first radio interview, like you said. So, what about shows? And are you still working with as many artists as you have?
Yeah,
as of late?
So last year, me and a friend of mine, Andrew Webb and Erica Johns, we started something called Club Ultraviolet, which is like it's like an event series that's in the Cleveland area.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been doing it. We've done it a couple times. We're trying to plan the next one right now. It's basically like an artist creating what he envisions to be like the best possible show for his fans. So it's me, it's other artists, it's DJs. We throw shows in different places and just have a good time. Keep the tickets like at a low price,
Mm-hmm.
and just have like the dopest artists possible
Okay.
come out. So we've been doing that. I direct my music videos and edit my music videos. So that's like a big focus for me. Is just like the visual element and everything.
Absolutely.
I've been producing and mixing for a lot of other artists, and hopefully some big stuff's gonna come about soon. I'm working every day. Like there's not a day that goes by that I don't focus intensely on music.
That's great.
So again, everything's surrounded it.
And so I guess what's next? Like, what will we experience next week? Just got a new album. Do we have any new visuals coming up? Are there any performances planned? Or looking around, there used to be so many different collectives before COVID who used to just do shows in the city. And can't say that it's the same. Of course, rap stands, as supreme. But what can listeners, your fans, your supporters expect next from you?
Yeah, so coming up next, I'm going to New York next week. We're going to film some more stuff for all that. There's going to be like the next single, so we're going to have a video done for that. Next month I have my first show that's out of Ohio. It's going to be in Chicago.
Okay.
For this artist named Azizi Gibson, who's super dope. So that's going to be, dope. Just, it's more stuff we're working on, like more shows, more moving around, more, media stuff. And just trying to expand the brand, get the music out to as many people as possible. Like, my thing is just, I want to do everything to make sure the music is heard because I believe in it that much. I feel like I'm making some of the most interesting music you could possibly hear.
Definitely very interesting, definitely. Now, you said you're going to shoot a video for All That, so All That is off of this album.
Yes.
And that's a great song that you got right there. So we're going to get into this last song. Now, before we go, of course, I want to just you tell our listeners where they can find you on your socials and if they just want to check out what you got going on, where they can find you as well if they want to see a visual, Spotify, Apple Music, all that great stuff.
Yeah, my name is Will Cherry. Some people confuse it with Wheelchair, so it's Will Cherry, WILLCHERRY. On Instagram and Twitter, the Cherry has 3 R's in it. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, every single place. On YouTube, I have a bunch of music videos and short films you can check out. It's a bunch of content out there, so if you want to be a Will Cherry fan, there's a lot of stuff to make you a Will Cherry fan for sure.
Absolutely. So before we go, we got this final song, and it goes by the name of, well, I won't say, I will let Will do that.
This is Closer featuring Wes Will and Mariah